Hello and welcome. This is Lockdown TV from UnHerd. Well, here in England, lockdown is finally gradually winding away. And one of the things that we're all looking forward to is that on July the 4th, the pubs, the kind of heartbeat of England, are going to be allowed to reopen. Although it's going to be rather a different kind of world that they reopen into. So with us to discuss it is Peter Borg-Neal. Hi, Peter.
Good morning, Freddie.
So, Peter, you're CEO of Oakman Inns in Buckinghamshire and Oxfordshire. You've got 28, is it, pubs and venues?
That's right. Yeah, we started in 2007. We're spread across the home counties as well as Hertfordshire, Buckinghamshire, Surrey, Berkshire.
Right. So you've received this 34-page document from the government saying what kind of regulations you're going to need to reopen. Is it in sum a kind of feasible set of tasks, and how close to fulfilling them are you already?
Well, we planned ahead. We anticipated much of what's in it. We obviously knew there would be social spacing. We knew that at one point it was destined to be 2 meters. This new kind of 1 meter plus is more helpful. What it means is we can run our places at about 70% capacity. It does also drive some inefficiencies. It's going to make it more costly to operate. It'll mean you don't have people standing at the bar and drinking, which is quite an efficient way of doing business, whereas we'll be having people sat at a table delivering food and drinks to them. But, you know, in the round, I can understand where they're coming from. And perhaps if we can improve in the early weeks that we're operating very safely, the government can progressively ease restrictions, which will enable us to become economic a lot more quickly.
So you're kind of lucky in a way that your pubs are kind of larger, sometimes country-based venues where they're not kind of packed inner city pubs. I mean, I guess it would be harder for the different groups that don't have that advantage.
Exactly right. For people who have nightclubs, for people who have maybe, you know, the typical Victorian pub in London, those wonderful sort of mirrored and hardwood kind of pubs that you see in the city, the West End, it's going to be impossible to have social distancing of really any type in there. Very hard for the guys to operate it. So, you know, I think for them it's all very difficult, and you know, very many places will remain closed come the 4th of July.
So let me ask about just a couple of the specific things that they're asking for. So one thing is that you're going to have to record the names and contact details of everyone coming in. How are you going to do that?
Well, my understanding it's voluntary, and if a customer doesn't want to give its name, or he goes, "Hello, my name is Mickey Mouse, you know, I live in Florida," I don't see what I'm going to be able to do about it. We are bookings only in the early stages, so we will have, as a minimum, the name of one member of a party. But then, you know, we need to understand how the process works from there. Will the guests know to contact us and let us know? So we're happy to cooperate every way we can. But it would seem to me a bit of a poor substitute for a proper kind of, you know, contact tracing setup. But yeah, of course.
So at the moment, there's you haven't been told any system or anything. You've just been told to keep names and contact details of everybody, and you've got to sort of work it out for yourself.
Yeah, that's my understanding. I've had a couple of emails from people who have kind of looked at the regulation and developing bits of software to kind of help do it. But at the moment, we're unsure of what our actual responsibilities are, and we probably need to seek clarity. But, you know, we would cooperate, but, you know, in practical terms, it will not be, you know, a secure and totally efficient methodology.
Then there's all this data protection stuff. I mean, you start collecting people's names and mobile telephone numbers. You've then got the whole onerous data protection requirements, I'm guessing.
Well, we presume that through our booking systems that's covered, that there must be some kind of disclaimer, something. You know, remember we all looked at data protection in great detail a couple of years ago and quickly got very fed up with it, having complied with everything. So I'm hoping that anyone who books has already allowed, you know, for the data to be collected. But I mean, yeah, I guess Am I within my rights to pass it to the government if they ask me to? Presumably, I would ask the guest when they inform us that one of his party has contracted COVID subsequently, if I give to her permission. But then again, why would they tell me if I didn't? So, I hate to sort of sound stubborn about it, but there is a degree of confusion.
Yeah. So let's talk about the kind of atmosphere. I mean, you're not actually erecting perspex screens between tables, are you? I mean, we're just talking about spacing them out a little bit more than they used to be.
Screens are part of it. We've designed some kind of glazed screens, sort of part metal, part glass, which look quite decorative. I think if you just have the sort of kind of ugly perspex, it's not going to look so good. And the idea is that you work with the 1 meter plus distancing. So if anyone might be within 2 meters face to face, we might put the screens, which are portable, between one table and the next. What we didn't want was to close the thing down. People like to look around. It's part of the social experience to, see who else is in the room, see what's going on. People watch a little bit. And funny enough, when we were trialing it, a lot of people said they quite liked them because they wanted to keep their conversation private while be able to look at other people. But you're quite right to make the point that we need to keep these places looking like pubs, looking like places where you can enjoy yourself. They mustn't feel like wards. Exactly.
Well, the other thing is you're not allowed to play loud music. You're not allowed to dance. You're not allowed to sing. What are you allowed to do in these new pubs?
Eat, drink, and talk, which is what people do most of the time in my places. I mean, how loud? I mean, does the virus spread quicker when the music is louder? I mean, seriously speaking, I presume that the government don't want people to be tempted to get up and dance. It doesn't tend to happen in my places. Singing, I mean, wow.
It's forbidden, isn't it, in the regulations? Group singing.
Yeah, I mean, again, that wouldn't happen. And I think sometimes sort of some of the people in government think all pubs are the same, and all pubs are full of like big groups of rowdy young men, watching football and shouting, or people singing and waving their arms to a Neil Diamond record. But the majority of places, people are sat down eating and drinking and conversing in a relaxed fashion. And I think the kind of places that want to play loud music and allow people to dance are prevented from opening anyway by the social distancing rules.
I guess the question is it even realistic? I mean, it's all to try and control what goes on in a pub sort of setting to that degree of detail. Is that even an appropriate thing for us to try and do? I mean, as the evening goes on and people have a few pints, are all of these sort of minute regulations realistically going to be stuck to?
Yeah, a number of points in response to that. Now, one complaint I do have is they left it so late. And we took the decision a week and a half ago that we were open on the 4th of July regardless, not because we were trying to be rebels, but because we knew it would take at least 3 weeks to get all this stuff in place. Now, the people who started work yesterday, I think they're really up against it, because we're flat out trying to be ready, and we're sort of 10, 11 days ahead of everybody else. So I think there's a bit of risk in there that people might be a little bit unprepared. And indeed, I've noticed in the press this morning that a number of my industry colleagues are not opening on the 4th because they've realised just this. They realise they need a bit more time to responsibly get ready. I think the second point is, look, whatever happens in the pubs, and we are used to managing people, we're used to managing public health, we worry about food hygiene and health and safety and fire and risk analysis. We will have to think on our feet a bit, but at least people are supervised. Now, what's happening in the UK at the moment is people are buying takeaway booze and they sit in the park, they sit by rivers. I drove past a crowded village pond the other day. So people are gathering in their own gardens, they're gathering in a variety of places. And there's no supervision, there's no hand sanitisation. So whatever happens, we can be better off with the pubs open in public health terms than the pubs closed, because people need to understand the reality of life, that people are congregating, in large numbers in many places all over the country, particularly in the countryside.
Well, I would definitely agree with that. Thank you for that, Peter Borg-Neal. Thanks for joining us today and for giving us your time. And look forward to coming and having a pint in one of your pubs in July.
You'd be very welcome, Freddie. Cheers.
Thanks. That was Peter Borg-Neal, who is CEO of Oakman Inns, giving us a sense of some of the difficulties and challenges that groups of pubs have in facing this new normal that everyone talks about. This was Lockdown TV. Thanks for tuning in.